Hi everyone, welcome to Cloud Trip. This is your host Amitabha, and in today's video we are going to learn about the storage classes in S3. So in this video we are going to learn what are the different storage classes in S3. In our previous video we have seen about the S3 service, how to create a bucket and all those. So in this video we are going to learn about the different storage classes that are present in S3. We'll be trying to learn what are the use cases. So we'll be trying to learn some of the advanced features that S3 provides us, like S3 select, S3 transfer acceleration, S3 cross region replication, and also the lifecycle policy of S3. I hope you have seen my previous video on availability zone. So if you have not seen, so AZ is basically a collection of one or more data centers. So how many data centers are there in a particular AZ? That's being abstracted by AWS. So I will just take a second, to make you understand this. So a region is a geographically isolated place, and within a region we are having availability zone, and within a particular AZ we are having one or more data centers. A region is a collection of one or more availability zone, not data centers. So, and all the AZs are connected together by a low latency resilient fiber connectivity. That makes the transfer very fast. Low latency transfer happens, so there is high bandwidth, and the data transfer that happens, it happens in an encrypted format in a private network. So that's it. And so this, I think this diagram basically tells you the story basically. So so these are all the storage classes, as you can see: S3 standard, S3 intelligent tiering, S3 standard IA, S3 one zone IA, S3 glacier. So we'll be discussing all those. So what is S3 standard? S3 standard, you remember in the previous lecture we have uploaded an image. So basically it's for the general purpose. So the image that we have uploaded is basically uploaded in the S3 standard, and the data that is being uploaded, it gets distributed across 3 different AZ. For example, if you are we are uploaded the image into AP South 1, that is the Mumbai region. So the image gets distributed across 3 different availability zones. S3 standard IA. I'm coming to S3 intelligent tiering later. So let me first talk about S3 standard IA. So S3 standard IA is basically used for infrequently accessed data. One point you got to remember is that the storage cost is actually lesser than what you pay in S3 standard. In the general purpose S3 standard, the storage cost is basically higher than S3 standard IA. So you'll be telling me, so I'll be keeping all my data in S3 standard IA. Why to keep my data in a higher costing S3 standard? But the thing is that when you will be trying to retrieve the data, you can retrieve the data within milliseconds in S3 standard IA. But when you'll be trying to retrieve the data, you have to pay additional retrieval fee per GB. Per GB of data that you retrieve, you got to pay a retrieval fee. And also there is a minimum object size. For example, your object is around 4 KB and you are storing that in S3 standard IA. So you are thinking that you are basically paying lesser, but the thing is that there is a minimum object size concept. So the minimum size has to be 128 KB. So you are charged for that minimum size of 128 KB and not 4 KB. Now coming to S3 intelligent tiering. It is basically a new type of storage class that is introduced by AWS. For example, you don't know which type of storage class to use, S3 or S3 standard IA. You are confused. So you can basically opt for S3 intelligent tiering. It can so happen that in a month you're not frequently accessing your data. It's basically getting stored. So what S3 intelligent tiering does is that it moves your data to S3 standard IA. It automatically does for you. In other month, for example, your data is frequent and retrieval of data is happening. So what it does is that it takes your data from S3 standard IA and it puts your data to S3 standard, so that you don't have to pay for those retrieval fees. So actually it basically reduces your cost. But you have to keep in mind that there is extra monitoring cost fee that is per object. You have to pay that extra fee per object. So the number of objects you are having, so you got to pay for those. So there is extra monitoring fee per object. And also there is a concept of minimum storage duration. So the data, it is 30 days if I'm not wrong. Coming to S3 one zone IM. So as we have just mentioned, that a region is a collection of one or more availability zone. In S3 one zone IAM, the data gets replicated in a single availability zone and not across 3 availability zones. Just like S3 standard, S3 intelligent tiering, S3 standard IAM, all the data that you upload in S3 bucket, that data is replicated across 3 availability zones, but not in S3 one zone IAM. That's why the cost, the storage cost is basically lesser than S3 standard IAM and S3 standard. And also there is a retrieval fee. So what kind of data will be putting there? So the data that will be putting in one zone IE is basically those type of data that you can recreate easily, not those type of data that you cannot retrieve, because if that availability zone goes down, your data is gone. So you need to keep the data in S3 one zone IA. Those type of data you should keep. That data you can retrieve very easily. Data can be recreated basically, and you can also access the data within milliseconds. Now moving on to S3 Glacier. So S3 Glacier basically helps you for archival of data. Also the data that you put in S3 Glacier, the data is replicated across 3 availability zones. Also you have to pay the retrieval fee when you're trying to get the data. Also one more thing, if you see, the storage cost is basically very, very less. It's 0.0040 per GB. Can you imagine? But the data that you are storing in S3 Glacier, you cannot get that in minutes. Use case might be, for example, you are storing logs in S3 Glacier and you want to retrieve those logs within milliseconds because it's a compliance requirement. Within milliseconds you have to get the logs. So S3 Glacier is not for you, because S3 Glacier will take from minute to hour depending on the size of the object to get retrieved. And also the retrieval fee is there per GB. And also there is a minimum duration. So if you delete the data, also you have to pay for the minimum duration date. And also there is a minimum object size. I think that is 128 KB again. So for example, if you are keeping the data for 1 day, it doesn't matter. If you delete the data after 1 day, you have to pay for the entire minimum duration date. This S3 Glacier Deep Archive. So again, it's used for archiving of the data. Here the cost is even lesser. The cost is 0.00099 per GB. But to get the data, you have to wait for around 12 to 48 hours. So that's a huge time. So that's a very long time to get the data. But as you know, the storage cost is very low. So if you can keep those type of don't need frequently, and it can be used for archiving and for any compliance requirement, you're keeping the data for a longer duration of time. Again, you have to pay for the retrieval fee. It's the same concept. The minimum storage duration is also applicable in this. So if you delete the data, it doesn't matter, you have to pay for the minimum storage duration. So as you are moving from left to right of your screen, basically you are paying less for your storage, but you are paying larger for getting the data. For retrieval fee is getting increased as you are moving from left to right, but the storage cost gets decreased as you move from left to right. This is again a beautiful thing. So I'll be just revising you. So S standard is basically for the general purpose. It's used for the frequently accessed data. The data that is there, it gets replicated within 3 availability zones. S3 standard IAM, so it's used for long-lived infrequently accessed data. But to get the data, you got to give data retrieval fee. Then comes the intelligent tiering. So you will be using those when you are not too sure which type of storage class to use. One zone IAM, when you're keeping the data in one zone IAM, you are basically keeping the data in a particular availability zone and not across 3 availability zones. But it also has a lower storage cost, and you'll be keeping only those type of data that you can replicate or that you can create. Glacier, it is basically for the archiving of the data, but to get the data from the Glacier, you have to wait for around hours to get the data. S3 Deep Archive. So in this S3 Deep Archive, the storage cost is even lesser, but to get the data, retrieve the data, you have to wait for longer hours, around 12 hours. and also you can see the minimum storage duration. So it basically tells is that, so for example, intelligent tiering, if you're keeping the data for 1 day or around 20 days, it doesn't matter, you have to pay for the minimum duration of 30 days. You'll be charged for 30 days. Like if you're keeping the data in Glacier DB archive, so if you're keeping the data for 1 day and then deleting the file, doesn't matter, you'll be charged for 180 days. And reduced redundancy is actually not recommended also, and it's also a type of legacy storage class that was using by AWS. And also one more thing I will need to mention is that in Glacier we have for example, you need to retrieve the data very fast, so we have something called expedited retrieval. So with using that, you can get the data within milliseconds, so but you have to pay larger for that. And also there is a bulk retrieval where you can get the data in bulk, large amounts of data, actually petabytes of data within a day you can get. So let's move on to the console, and let's S3 management console. And remember from your previous slide, we have uploaded this image, this beautiful image that we uploaded. And if you go to the object, so it is basically an object within the bucket, and come to properties, here you can see the storage class. So you can see it's in the standard storage class. So basically you can change the pricing tier over here. We can you can just select and click on save. So that's a very good feature, but you got to remember all those points that I've just discussed. So yeah, moving back to our slide, what are the advanced things that I want you to know? So S3 select. So S3 select is basically helps you to query large chunks of data. For example, you are having Excel file that is around 20 GB of Excel file, and you need to change or query some part of the data. So are you going to download that? So when you're downloading that, you're not paying for the data retrieval fee. Again, you are going to upload that after making that changes. So no, S3 select helps you to query some part of the data that is stored in S3. S3 is transfer acceleration. So it basically takes the advantage of the edge locations. So CloudFront uses edge locations so for the caching purpose. So S3 transfer acceleration basically uses those edge locations to basically upload your data. So when you'll be using those, for example, you have a large file that is around 10 GB to be uploaded. So uploading that into S3 will take a lot of time. So you can use S3 transfer acceleration to accelerate the process by uploading that object into the edge locations which is near to you, to decrease the time that will take you to upload the image. So S3 cross-region replication. So for example, when you're keeping the data in S3 bucket, it is basically being replicated across 3 different availability zones if you're using standard tier. So S3 cross-region replication allows us to replicate the data to a different region. So you could have a compliance requirement, or for your safety of the data, because the data that could be very important to you, so that can overcome the regional outbreak that you might have. So S3 cross-region replication helps us to replicate our data from one region to another region. For example, you are storing the data in AP South 1, that is Mumbai, and it helps to replicate the data into some other location like Europe or US. S3 lifecycle policy. So it's a beautiful policy created by AWS. So this thing allows us to move our data from one storage class to another storage class. For example, if you enable the lifecycle policy in S3 bucket, it will help you to transfer your data from S3. For example, you define a policy that after 60 days, I want my data from S3 standard to be moved to Glacier. So you can write in the S3 lifecycle policy. So your data after 60 days from the S3 standard, it will be automatically moved to S3 Glacier. For example, a perfect use case might be, for example, the application logs might be coming to S3 bucket. So the logs might be, frequently used for 30 days and not used after a month. So you need them to get archived, right? So you won't be paying extra for storing a data that is not frequently used, and you don't want to do that manually. So S3 lifecycle policy, if you define that policy that okay, after 60 days or after 180 days I want my data to get into different storage class, so I can do that using S3 lifecycle policy. So yeah, that's it, and take care of your health. Goodbye. If you have any queries related to the video, you can write in the comment section, and if you like the video, you can please like, share and subscribe to our channel.